What up, nerds? It's Jason here from Custom Cans, and yeah, sorry for the slightly clickbaity title, but sorry for the slightly clickbaity title, but it's true. Beyerdynamic would not sell me a pair of DT900s and DT700s. We might go into the reasons for that later, but it's like the big red button that says "Do not press." You know, I want to see the forbidden headphone. So I actually had to buy these with my actual own money from off that Amazon. Jeff Bezos supplied these direct to me, as opposed to Beyerdynamic. Very sorry, Beyerdynamic. I know I'm not really supposed to play with these, but I'm just having a look at how they're made. Promise I won't do anything more than that. Just gonna have a play with them. Maybe have a listen. I don't know. But that's not what this is about. Let's have a look inside, see how they're made, see what design decisions they've made, see what they've learned from the 990 and the 1990, and because this kind of fits the gap in between that. The 990s are like £130, I think, retail. The 1990s are 400-ish. These ones are in the kind of 200 range, so it fits in between those. But also they're aiming at a different market. The 990 and the 1990 are both 250 ohms, which are quite high impedance, and there's for professionals who've got professional gear in studios, that kind of thing. These are aimed more at kind of the home producer. They've got a 48 ohm impedance, so they'll run nicely off laptops without you having to carry big amplifiers and stuff like that. So if you're kind of a musician on the go, or a producer just working from home with a minimal amount of kit but want top quality sound, this is apparently their answer to that. So I'm quite intrigued to see what they're like. Yeah, so anyway, let's get on with it. Let's get them open. So before I get into it, obviously this isn't a review of their sound quality. I have just had a listen. They're very good. They're exactly what you'd expect. They're in between the 990 and the 1990. They haven't got the harsh treble of the 1990, which is really good. They've got better bass quality than the 990. Overall, very impressive sound from this. I think these are good. You know, right in the right price point. £200. You get the detachable cable. Really nice upgrade on the 990. I think in many ways. I can't really think of much that the 990 does better than these. Obviously, sound is a totally personal thing. Yeah, sound quality, very good. Right in line with their price bracket, I would say. But that's not what you've come here for. No one watches my videos to listen to stuff. We want to see what's inside. Let's do a proper deep dive. Let's have a look and see what's inside the forbidden headphones. Right, so let's have a look at the forbidden Beyerdynamics. So nice eco-friendly packaging. I'm liking this. So cardboard inserts. Yeah, it's all folded cardboard, so it's nicely recyclable. That's very good. This says pull. What's that? Hello? There's something in here. Stick that there. Sorry, it's like Christmas. Open. Okay, so what we got? What goodies we got? Got a little bag. Oh, it's quite a nice bag. Quite a chunky bag. And in there we've got two cables. So it looks like a short one and a long one. And mini XLR, which is nice. And detachable, obviously, which is something that you don't get on the 990s. So first impressions, I like them, and you can tell by the way that the design they are positioned in between the 1990s and the 990s. They look a bit nicer than the 990s, but they don't look quite as nice as the 1990s. Good middle of the road jobby there. So they've got a completely new headband, which is interesting because a lot of the Beyerdynamics have shared the same headband. Yeah, it's just interesting because this is a different market. Normally we deal with the stuff that's for studios. This is somewhere between studio and consumer. What I am noticing straight away is that we haven't got big chunky screws and things in here holding everything together. If you look at a pair of 990s, you'll see easy to access screws all over the place to dismantle it and replace the parts. Now then, I suspect all the parts will be replaceable. Beyerdynamic are very good about that, but they've kind of neatened up the design because a lot of the consumer headphones you won't see exposed screws and things like that unless it's a design feature. So yeah, so these are more, I think, kind of consumer than pro on a design point of view, but obviously sound-wise they're going to be a professional quality sound. So it's interesting. Yeah, so they're definitely picking up that market because a lot of these people that are home producers, you know, they're the kind of people that would have bought Beats at one point and thought they were good, and then obviously found out that they weren't. And that's because when you look cool in a pair of Beats, let's face it. Whereas if you pair of 990s, unless someone knows what they are, it's gonna look, why are you wearing those 70s headphones? So pad. Interesting. So they've got a different way for the pads to go on. How did I get that on? Oh yeah, there's a little key in there. Ooh, how's that? Yeah. So the pad just kind of snaps on and off, which is nice. So if you got to change your pads, pretty easy. You needed kind of magic fingers for the other ones. It took you a few goes to get them on sometimes. These ones are going to be a bit easier. I don't know what the cost of these pads are, but they are a totally new pad, so they're very different from the 990 and 770. So it's velour all around, it's constructed. As you can see, you've got a flat edge here, and then another piece sewn on the top there. Underneath, again, fabric with just foam inside, and then the actual, it's just glued to this retaining ring which plugs into there. In some ways they're nicer than the 990 pads, in other ways they're not as nice. But what I'll have to do is do a comparison. We'll have to get, I'll have to do another video with some 990s, some 1990s and these, and we'll see what you get, what the difference is. So, see if I can get into these, have I got a tool? I've never pulled these apart before, so bear with me, but you know, I know generally how Beyerdynamic make their stuff. Oh yeah, so same theory. So again, you've got a retaining ring that clips in, but it's different from the others. I think these are a slightly smaller diameter. Then underneath that, we've got this this cover here, and that will stop dust from getting in. I suspect it's also got something to do with tuning. And then you'll notice this radial pattern here. I don't know what that's for. It might just be for looks. Don't know, there might be an actual technical reason for it, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. So inside, this is their new 48 ohm driver, which I haven't seen before. Let's get that out. Oh, look at that, it just unplugs. How cool is that? Right, let's have a look. Whoa. Yeah. So, yeah, totally new driver, different from all the others. It's interesting. But yeah, the most interesting thing is that you've got this little circuit board with a key in it, and it plugs into a little socket inside the ear cup. So if you blow a driver, how easy is that to replace? No soldering needed, nothing scary at all. It just plugs in. That's good. That's good. You get a repairability score. I was a bit worried when I saw these. I'm like, I don't know if they go on like consumer. But no, that's fully repairable. That's a really good thing. Yeah, well done, Beyerdynamic. That's nice. And as well, it's the big chunky connector in there. Let me get this ear cup apart. We'll have a proper look. Now I've got to figure out how these hinges come off. Do you reckon I pull? Doesn't seem to. Let me get a pry tool of some kind. Doesn't seem to want to come out like that. They unscrew? No. Not sure. Are these glued? This might be glued. Don't know. So what we'll have to do is get in through the headband. We'll see if we can get in here. So I don't know if you can see this, but under here there are two little screws. And I'm thinking that might let me in. If I can figure out what size they are. Smaller than a T6. That seems about right. That is a T5. Okay, so I'm just going to undo those. Yeah, it's always the same. Like I've pulled apart a bajillion pair of Beyerdynamics, so the old style ones I can do blind. I can literally do blindfold. I've tried it, but obviously I've never pulled these apart before, and there's often a little trick to stuff that I totally forget and I take for granted. So there might be a way of getting those hinges off easily. I just haven't figured it out yet. Don't know. Shall I undo the screws? Yes, undo these other screws as well. See what happens. So again, all Beyerdynamics are built by hand, as far as I know. So normally they're dismantleable by hand. You know, you do. They're very good at repairability, as you saw from the packaging. Nice eco-friendly packaging, and they're normally pretty keen to keep their stuff in use for many years, which is why you've got things like this where the driver just plugs in. That's beautiful. I love that. Well done, Beyerdynamic. Right, okay, so we've got this bit off. So plastic with a spring steel insert in there. So you're not just relying on the plastic. You've got a steel bit in there, which is nice. So the plastic just kind of covers it up. We've got the Beyerdynamic thing embossed on there. This part is made of TPU, which is like a flexible polymer on 3D printers. Yeah, and you've got like cable routing through here. You've got little clips to clip the cable into. Okay, so we've got that apart. This is interesting because that just pops off. Okay, right. So it looks like the head pad is just held on with poppers, so you should be able to change that. I've noticed at the end of the head pad you've got these weird little rubber jobs. Let's have a look at those. So you've got a little rubber A rubber flap there. It's a bit weird. I don't know what that's all about. I like it. It's like a little branding tag, you know, it's got their new accent colour, their new logo. Just a weird little flappy rubber bit there. I don't know. It might just be for looks. I can't think what that's for. Sorry. Let me just interrupt you there. This is future Jason, and you know how you can look back on your youth and think, what an idiot. Well, yeah, 20 minutes ago, Jason was an idiot. Yeah, I figured out what the little rubbery flappery thing is. Yeah, I was doing the head pad all wrong. So what you do is you pull on the little rubbery flap. It feels like it's going to break, and that should pull out the bottom of the pad, I think. That's it. It unpops, and then you just slide it out, and it unpops from the other side. Pop. There you go. Yeah. So it's not too difficult to change. So the little rubbery flap kind of just pulls up the ends so the poppers come out. Not sure why it needs to be rubber. I would have thought a fabric would be better. It feels like it's going to break when you pull on it, but yeah, I'm sure they've done all this testing. But yes, sorry Beyerdynamic, I shouldn't have dished your little rubbery flap. It's a good thing. Anyway, back to past Jason. Idiot. Okay, so now you can see inside the ear cap. You can see here, this is that socket, and as you can see, it's quite a nice big chunky thing. The cables are routed through here. They've got little clips on them to keep them secured down, and they've been glued in place as well so that you won't hear them kind of rattling and flapping around inside, which is nice. It's another thing, like the socket on there. For years we've been making DT770s and DT990s, like upgraded versions of them for about £200, about this kind of price. But it's quite interesting because this is what we do. We'll stake the cables down with hot glue inside, and also we fit a mini XLR, and we were doing that for years, and then they brought out the 1990s with a mini XLR, and Beyerdynamic are like, hey look, now we're doing it too, are you really pleased? I'm like, well, yeah, it's pretty cool, but I wish you'd gone for a 4-pin, because the 4-pin will let you go balance, whereas a 3-pin won't. So we still get in the 1990s to have the socket changed to a 4-pin. But it's nice, it makes modding it for us a bit easier. We won't be modding these because Beyerdynamic have asked us not to, so that's cool. We won't be modding them yet until we get the go-ahead. But at the moment, we're not really supposed to be playing with these. So this is made of PA, which is nylon, which is 30% glass fibre reinforced, which will give it some nice rigidity. It's going to be a little bit, I don't know if you can hear the scratchy, those are the glass fibres in there. And again, like the 1990, it's a semi-open design, so you'll notice all the grilly jobs there. You haven't got quite as many on the inside, so they've blocked off some of them. And again, that'll be to do with the tuning. By closing off some of those, you generally get a bit more bass response. So it sounds more open because it's pretty open. But yeah, there's a certain amount of tuning in how much of those holes are opened up. And it looks like you've got a 2-part thing. So you've got an inner piece of plastic here and an outer piece, and then a bit of mesh in between to stop hairs and things from getting in there. So can I get this out, or is it glued? Because that might be the secret to the hinges. You might have to get this part out. Yeah, so I can't seem to get that part out easily. Don't know if these hinges. I'm going to give one more go. I'm just going to use a bit more force and see if we can get this off. No, it's not budging. No, I'm not sure. No, they don't untwist, and that kind of makes sense because they've got the Beyerdynamic logo on there, and that would be upside down if you twisted it. So what else can we have a look at? So yeah, so I can't get these hinges off at the moment. It's going to take further investigation. It's interesting. They've got a custom little circuit board on the back of the 3-pin mini XLR that allows them to solder the headband routing cable through like we do on ours, which is, again, I don't know. I suspect that Beyerdynamic have had a look at ours and seen how we've done it and copied some of our ideas, which is fair enough. We're constantly developing stuff, and they're constantly developing stuff, and you know, there's a bit of cross-pollination. They'll come up with some good ideas, we'll steal it. And we'll come up with some good ideas, they'll steal it. It's the way it goes with these things. Like, there's nothing patentable really about them. So let's have a look at the clicking mechanism. Interesting. So on the end of this metal part here, they've actually got a little rubber band which stops it from. What does that do? Don't know. I reckon it's probably so that when you when this moves around, it stops it from tapping on this, which again is a nice design feature. Yeah, It's just that little bit extra that you wouldn't see on most headphones. A little rubber damper there, which stops the metal bit from tapping on the plastic, which might make an annoying sound in the headphones. So yeah, nice. So some really nice design features on these. The clicking mechanism is a metal spring and a ball, which is nice, because on the 990s it's just a plastic little clicker. So this one is a higher quality clicking mechanism, which will last forever, I would have thought. It's looks like a nylon ball with a spring pressing it into little indents in the back of this piece of metal to do the click. So that's good. So that's not, I don't think that's ever going to need changing. That's kind of built to last. Headband cable, quite thin, but you know, it's not a huge impedance headphone and the cable isn't going very far, so I don't think that's necessarily a problem. But you've got a much fatter cable, much thicker cable going to this driver and a much thinner cable going to the other one, which is unusual, I would have thought. Like after I looked at the Neumanns the other week, the Neumann, they're the nice thick headband cable. I thought, oh yeah, everyone should do that. But yeah, so again, it's quite a thin headband cable, but I suppose for flexibility and actually thinness of fitting through the things, that's probably fine. Yeah, so I don't know if I can say much else about these at the moment. So yeah, so mostly nylon PA6 with glass reinforcement, which is nice. These will be very durable. You've got TPU for the headband, spring steel in there. Really nice mechanism for replacing the drivers. I really like that for the home gamer. You know, the 1990s, you've got a little socket that you can unplug, but it's quite fiddly, and there's a chance you could break the socket. That is a big chunky thing that just comes straight out. That's beautiful. So yes, if you've got one of these and you blow the driver, really easy to change. We're not going to mess around with tuning on these, but you can see they've done a bit. You've got a rubber damper around there, which presses on these three stakes, gives the driver additional support, which will help with bass weight. You've got a tuned hole in the back there, and this has actually got like a little, rather than being a straight cut, it's got a little profile on there, which will aid airflow in there, which is what we did on the HD600s. We added something like that on the back of those to smooth the airflow. So again, it's stuff that we've come up with in the past, and they've come up with in parallel. Not necessarily copied us, it's just the way it is. You know, their designers came up with a same way of fixing a problem that we did, and yeah, but in some ways obviously much better. I'm biased but yeah, this thing with the little circuit board on the back of that's the right size to fit through the hole. It's nice. It's just that little, they're like, couldn't we do this to make building it quicker? Because all of these will be designed so you can stick them together quite quickly in the factory. So again, this kind of thing, it's gonna speed up the process. So anything like that can shave off a minute of soldering and make it more reliable, that's good. So that's why they've done that. Right, so yeah, overall, really nice. Yeah, I said we were going to say why I can't have them. I think they said it was because they had a certain launch strategy where they only wanted to sell it with people that sell microphones as well. So basically, only certain retailers got them, the ones that would sell the microphones as well. Now, obviously, we would have sold the microphone if they'd asked, but I also think, obviously, if you brought out a new product, you don't want someone pulling it apart and potentially dissing it or messing with it and saying that you've done it wrong. Because they haven't done it wrong, they've done it right. I haven't had a listen to these yet, and we won't do any tuning or anything on these until they've kind of finished their launch event, and then we might have a look and see if there's any mods. But from what I've heard from reviews, these are really good, don't need any kind of mods, they're fine. So the only thing that we might do in the future, if we're allowed to play with these, is offer a balanced version. So we'll replace this socket with a balanced socket. So yeah, overall really nice, really interesting new design that they've come up with. They've very much departed from their old ways. You don't have the ring around there that the pad clips onto, which makes the whole thing seem a lot more compact. Really like this system for unplugging drivers and plugging them back in. Super repairability score there. The eco-friendly packaging, very good. Easier to replace pads for your novice. All very good. These should get 10 marks for repairability. No, I'm going to give them 9 marks for repairability because some of the screws are a bit small and awkward. But, you know, still very good. Much better than most headphones. What I will have to do is when I've got these back together, we'll get out the 990 and the 1990 and we'll compare the differences and what you get as you go up the range. I've also got some T1s, so if you want to see all 4 of the open back ones as you go up the level, yeah, we can see the differences and what you get. But yeah, overall, very good. Well done, Beyerdynamic. Sorry for opening these. Don't worry, I won't be messing with your stuff just yet. So if you'd like to see that video, let me know. If you've got any questions, stick them in the thing. It was really great hanging out. If you could like and subscribe, it cheers me up. It helps me. You never know. I might even earn some money from this one day and be able to pay for all of this stuff. At the moment, it's quite costly. And then these. Look at these. So this is another video I've got to shoot. We've just about finished the open source HD400 SE mod, which is looking and sounding pretty special. And other stuff. This thing here, we've got an amplifier which we're possibly going to start selling. We haven't really done amplifiers before, but we've got a little bit of design flair that we can work with this one. So yeah, so we're going to try and produce, well, our kind of aim is with these and an amplifier and maybe a DAC. If you can do like an audio file on a budget thing for like 500 quid for the package, that would be really nice. I don't know if we can get it down quite that. We can definitely do headphone, balanced cable, fully balanced amplifier for 500. Trying to squeeze a DAC in, but it's going to be difficult. But anyway, that's for another video. If there's anything else that you'd like to see, any questions about these, comparisons to the other models, let me know and I'll try and answer them, because I have all of them now and I've forked out £200 on a pair of headphones that I'm not allowed to have, not really supposed to sell. Money, eh? What are you going to do? Anyway, like and subscribe. Makes me happy. You get to look at more cool things like our HE400 project and some other Beyerdynamic stuff. So, yeah, exciting stuff in the pipeline. Get subscribed and you'll see it. Yeah. Have you done it? Because if you haven't, you're in trouble. I'm going to count to 3. You better be pressing that thing. 1. Don't worry. Anyway, bye. It's been super great hanging out. Jason out. What?